Autism, it has a lot of different views. It's been portrayed in the media as kind of a higher functioning ability, but it's really a developmental disorder that's present. Autism is a developmental disorder that is present at birth, but really doesn't start showing signs until about 18 months to 2 years of age. And children with autism have difficulty with social communication and repetitive behaviors and interests. And over the years, the prevalence of autism has been increasing over time, and people want to know kind of why is that happening, and we don't know exactly why. It could be the criteria keeps changing on how we diagnose autism. As we learn more and more about it. It is a spectrum disorder, so you have children and adults with it, from nonverbal, very almost untestable IQ levels to genius level IQ levels and very verbal. And so it is an entire spectrum. And so the saying, you meet one person with autism, if you meet a person with autism, you meet one person with autism, is true. Every child is different. To get the diagnosis, there is no medical test. So we can't take hair, blood, urine, anything like that. It is a behavioral disorder, so we're looking at a set of behaviors and making sure you have a certain set of behaviors and a number and pattern of those behaviors over time. And it has to start showing in early childhood. But it is something that has extraordinary abilities that go with it, as well as deficits in social communication, social interactions, and behaviors and interests.
Wow, that was an earful. Thank you. And Dr. Buffington, I know in your practice you probably see a little bit of everything as a general pediatrician, but what do you see that's trending with our young children today? Like, are you seeing a lot of childhood obesity or other types of things? And if so, how are you employing or using telemedicine to be able to treat more children? And you can take the first part of that first.
We are seeing large trends in obesity in all groups, but more so in children. We're seeing more type 2 diabetes in children than we've probably ever seen. Children who are double or even triple their ideal weight. Probably the highest factor to that is that kids, I was born in the 70s and we rode our bikes and played hopscotch and we played. Kids now when they play, it's PlayStation, it's PS4, it's Xbox, it's GTA, it's YouTube. So play has changed, and as play has changed, people have changed. So adults are different, kids are different. So yes, we are seeing overwhelming amount of obesity, and probably also overwhelming amount of attention deficit. So, and I think those two things go together. With increased media use, you have increased attention deficit.
Now, mental health is on the rise, as everybody know, in our communities everywhere. And many are saying we just don't have enough resources invested in caring for young children who are suffering from mental illness. And so I want to know from both of you, and it doesn't matter who starts first, I want to know, what are your thoughts on what can we do to decrease the mental health issues that we're seeing, and can you confirm if we're really seeing a tremendous increase?
Well, that's a tough question. Thanks for letting me go first. Let me see. Are we seeing increases? I think we are seeing increases in mental health issues as we become more aware of those issues over time. It happened, I think, over the past probably 10 years. Having a mental health disorder has less of a stigma attached to it than it used to be, so people are willing to talk about it. We are trying to get resources. Now, resources out there are limited. There's probably more for children than there are for adults. Once you become adult age, there's really nothing for you out there. Trying to search for it gets difficult. Also, as children, you do have probably better access to funding sources to get those limited resources, because once, again, you become an adult, the funding sources all go away. So, are they increasing? probably what can we do about it, I think, is to intervene early and kind of learn what are the signs of just at-risk behaviors that we can start targeting as kids are younger and younger, and then giving them the skills they need to overcome some of those deficits that become more apparent as they get older.
I think if you're blessed if you live in a metro area like Atlanta, where there are resources where I practice. I intentionally moved to a very small town, rural, it's like Mayberry where I live. But there are not a lot of resources for children. In fact, the children that I serve are probably 80% Medicaid, and in order for them to see a child psychiatrist or a psychologist, they drive an hour and a half, cross the Florida line. They may have to cross the Alabama line, which, if you're a working parent, that's a whole day lost. So there probably are more mental illnesses. I think you said there's more identification. I think pediatricians are more aware now that children have anxiety, depression, schizophrenia, things like that. And so there is an increased awareness, and I think with there being a decrease in the number of resources, at least in a rural, practicing in a rural area is very different from practicing in a metro area. The resources are limited, and so then you see some of the pathology, the suicides and things like that, because there is a limit to the resources you may have. If you have an available resource, let me say, my PSA is use it, because not everyone has it. So you are blessed to live in a metro where you have the resource.
Thank you, and I know everyone in here is very familiar with some of the challenges that we're having in the healthcare industry, especially with children. So the purpose of this program today was to bring awareness to just some of the health initiatives that we're struggling with children. But before I go any further, we do have another panelist I see here in the audience, so if you guys would please, due to people being redirected, I do want to go ahead and bring her up and read her quick bio, if I may, because we're talking about her field.